And my goal for this, it's up to the board, is to simply assign someone to be responsible for the negotiation and the liaison with the Board of County Commissioners. We're not in a position to make decisions. It's not our baby. But if we don't have a liaison assigned or somebody assigned to be the primary spokesperson for the board, it's almost impossible for us to function as a board and talk to them or talk to you. It's too many people, too many conversations. It's impossible to sort out 5 conversations with 5 different people, it's 25, and coalesce that to one point. That's why I said as much as I did in the last one, because the board assigned me as the negotiator to negotiate with the developer on that particular situation. In my mind, it's up to the board, but that's my goal today, is simply to assign someone on our board to be responsible, the lead person, the primary point of contact, so that you and anyone else in the public and anyone else on the Board of County Commissioners has someone to go to who is leading the negotiation, so we don't have 25 people involved in this negotiation. From our perspective, we have one. I have no control over what the Board of County, I don't particularly, we have no control of what the Board of County Commissioners will do, what their staff will do, what you will do. It's America. You can do what you want. But what we can do, in my mind, is, my suggestion is that we come out of this with an assigned liaison, a lead negotiator, primary point of contact, whatever you want to call it, and that's it. So I want you guys to know that, but it's up to the board what they do.
Of course.
Then I'd like to just get a resolution. It's all we need, right, Mr. Crawford? Is a resolution.
Yes.
I'd like to suggest a resolution that we have the representative from District 3, Bertie, to be our lead negotiator in this discussion and a primary point of contact to come back to the board when it comes. So that's what I'm resolving. Are we okay with that kind of a resolution? I am? Everybody?
Yep, absolutely.
Yes. So that's done. So we have assigned a primary point person, representative from number 3. Welcome to the party.
Giddy up.
Is there anything else you'd like to add, sir?
No, sir. I know the community's probably got some concerns or questions or whatever, and we'll listen to what they have to offer and try to bring that into the equation as well.
We have already completed tab 5, so now we will go to tab 6, which is the LCWA Goose Creek Drive request for right-of-way update. And that would be Bertie?
All right, as you saw in the agenda item, we've been working hard to come to some terms on this. If you read down, the Goose Creek development is going to happen, and we have the opportunity to create a safe, effective, and community-positive agreement that will benefit all the parties involved, the local residents, the developer, and our property as such. 2 options were narrowed down and discussed. We could potentially deed a 60-foot easement to the developer to ensure right-of-way exists to construct the public road extending Goose Creek, or we could deed the acres, 1.39 acres, to the county to allow for continuity of the public road as an extension of Goose Creek. There's some pros and cons to both of those as listed in the memo there. Did you guys all have a chance to read it, or do you really want me to read it all out loud?
I've read it.
We're prepared.
Okay,
Thank you, though, for asking.
okay. In essence of time, then, should I make my motion? Does somebody want to make a motion? Yeah?
I know I can't.
So I move to approve the deeding of 1.39 acres to the Lake County Board of County Commissioners in exchange for Berglund Investments offer to be further ratified by the Board of County Commissioners.
I'll second that.
Questions? Anybody?
I'd rather give it to the county than to the developer. Just cleaner.
Yeah, it's a lot cleaner.
Yeah.
Is there any further discussion? Okay, I've said my piece, and we'll call the question. The question is to approve deeding 1.39 acres to Lake County in exchange for the Berglund Investments offer to be further ratified by the BCC.
You know, that just brought up a question. Is there any issues we're going to get into that?
No, I'm not sure exactly about the wording of approve, because what we're approving is a recommendation to the BCC. We don't really approve the deeds or anything, and, because it is up to the Board of County Commissioners to make the final decision.
That was my question, so does it
Yeah, maybe.
need to be changed?
You know, it's just a point of semantics, but, yeah, if we wanted to amend the motion to say, we approve recommending deeding the 1.39 acres, just as it says there, so if the mover and the second wish to amend that, that would be proper.
Does he have to remove his second before I remove mine and then redo it?
No, you can propose the amendment, and then he can either accept it or
I
not.
believe Rick did.
Oh,
So then I would move to approve recommending that we deed 1.39 acres to Lake County in exchange for Berglund Investments' offer to be further ratified by the BCC.
I'll second that.
And again, we're just giving them property that they already own, so that's fine. That's all I have to say to that. So is there any other comment? Then we'll have the modified motion called to question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously.
All right, tab 35. Chuck?
Good morning, Chuck Hyatt, Half Engineering, 902 North Sinclair Avenue, Tavares. Thanks for meeting with us this morning. Back in November, we had brought a PUD zoning item to you guys, and you guys had denied it. And the reason for denial was public safety. So we went back and discovered, or we knew that the Water Authority owned property next door. So we had some discussions with the Water Authority as far as them deeding right-of-way to the county, not to us, but to the county. That would be a win-win situation for three of us. The county, being that now they have more than one access for the residents back there. The developer for moving forward and being able to develop their project, and the Water Authority for being able to have paved access to their property, which they do not have now. So we met with the Water Authority and discussed it, made a presentation. The Water Authority agreed that this is a good idea, and at the last meeting, they unanimously decided to approve it, to move forward to you for you guys to consider 1.39 acres of right-of-way being deeded to the county, and the developer would install the roads to get access out to 44, more than one access point. So that's kind of in a nutshell. If you got any questions, I'd be happy to answer. And there was one comment made, and I'll just bring it up now, about the deed being recorded early. And what we have decided with recommendation is that maybe this deed gets put into an escrow account. And then once all the approvals are in place and the contractor is building the road, then that deed comes out of escrow and then gets recorded. So with that, I'll answer any questions.
Okay.
And I believe we have a map. Eric, could you pull up is it the Google map that shows?
The connections to the roads? Yes,
Yep,
ma'am.
there it is.
Yeah, so on the map in front of you, the yellow road is the only road in currently out to 44. If the development ends up happening and we get the right-of-way from the Water Authority, the green road, basically up to Goose Creek, is what would be constructed, and that would give then two access points out to 44, one on Goose Creek and one on Shelley Drive.
Okay, thank you. Any questions?
Comments? Do we have a copy of the draft contract yet?
We do not. We do not. We just need to make sure that the county is going to support getting a deed for right-of-way for us then to enter into the contract that then the Water Authority can bring back to you guys.
Okay.
Question.
Well, we still have go ahead.
I was just say, are you proposing any improvements along Shelley Drive and what's the other road?
Goose Creek.
Goose Creek.
Only improvements that we're going to do is we're going to tie into Goose Creek. Shelley Drive is already a pretty wide road. Goose Creek is a little narrower, but without proper right-of-way and everything, we can only, do what we can. And right now, it would be a full road right-of-way, meeting county standards from the end of Goose Creek all the way out to the road to the south, whatever, the Eagle Court or Eagle Point or something.
Yeah, so it's not, so it'd only be the green portion that goes through your proposed development to, say, Goose Creek Road would be where you'd be improving it. You'd be making that a county standard road.
That's correct.
But north of that is not a county standard road.
North of that meets it wouldn't be in today's county standard as 24-foot wide,
Right.
whatever. But based on the traffic and so forth, the county roads do allow for 20-foot roads.
And that's my concern, though, is you got, I think it is, well, first I'll say this, I think it is a possible win. I would say, I would characterize it today, at this moment, as a possible win-win-win-win situation. But I do think this is a little premature because, that's was it 180 lots, 180 units?
The zoning will allow for that,
It's all the plat plan, though.
but the
Yeah.
PUD that we came in with, which we're not really discussing today, we're
Yeah.
just basically discussing the right-of-way, but that would be, we stayed with the PUD of 145 lots.
Okay. Yeah, so that's about 10 trips a day on average, 8 to 10 a day. That's 1,400 to 1,800 trips a day. Shelley Road. So this is all about safety. I'm talking safety or public safety. And those roads, although they're not, they may be wider and maybe a little bit better than, say, Forest Lake. Right now, without seeing what you're proposing, I'm not sure that giving you the easement is going to necessarily alleviate any safety concerns along Goose Creek and Shelley Road.
Well, the biggest safety would be more than one point of access to 44 for all the other residents out there.
For this discussion, though, we're not talking about the road, the design, the lots, the PUD. We're not talking about any. We're just talking about if we want to, the Water Authority approved unanimously to convey a strip of land to the county, and that's all we're doing today, correct?
That is, but what's applicable here to me, though, is another concern would be that if we grant the easement right now without having to see what they're proposing and a potential safety issue with Shelley and Goose Creek Road, it could also be implying that they've got some entitlement coming to them in the future, that if we grant this now, today, that without hearing what they're proposing there, I would think that would be granted at the same time that we do the hearing, maybe as a possible solution. So that's.
All right, I think Melanie wants to explain some.
So what you could do today is you could authorize the Water Authority to move forward with the negotiations and reserve the right to approve the final easement and/or conditions that might be associated with that once that's been done. I think, and of course, Water Authority can answer for themselves, but I think the point of bringing it to you today was they didn't want to spend the time attempting to negotiate something if the board was not interested at all in having this as a consideration.
Okay, but with the understanding that what would be negotiated would be negotiations between the county and the developer, not, because the conditions that we would need to have in place are conditions that are related to whether we would revisit the PUD. And I think that's where we have to tie the two back together. But as far as the dedication of the right-of-way, or whatever you want to call it, the conveyance of the property from the Water Authority to the county, if we could hold it in escrow, then we wouldn't accept that deed until we had worked out the conditions that everybody was agreeable with the developer. If we couldn't work out those conditions, then we would just
Tear it up.
send the deed back to the Water Authority.
Correct. That is another option, that you could direct the Water Authority to deed whatever that right-of-way portion would be to the county to be held in escrow until something was, negotiated with the developer. Now, keep in mind, again, this is not a topic for today, but keep in mind, we do have res judicata provisions of our code. The board, when you denied the rezoning, you did not deny it without prejudice. So that kicks into our res judicata, meaning that they cannot bring it back for a minimum of 1 year, plus there has to be substantial change in circumstances. However, I have been asked to draft an amendment to that provision that would allow one of the county commissioners who was on the winning side of that vote to request to bring back a project if they felt that there was something significantly different about it, to which the one-year timeframe would not necessarily apply. So I am working on that. You will probably see that first part of January for approval to advertise, and if you're interested in moving it forward, then public hearing would be soon thereafter.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's, thinking back through the years and different times when things came up with developments that were denied and then circumstances changed, but you weren't sure whether you met the threshold of whether it was completely new application or not. That's actually, I think, a very good ordinance change, it sounds like.
Well, and the way it's written right now is it's a minimum of 1 year. Whether there's changed circumstances or not, once you deny an application, it cannot come back for a year, and then it has to have changed circumstances. So I'm working on a modification to that for your consideration.
Can we just table this till we get the details worked out?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in favor of a table because, or even further, just wait till we hear the proposed application for that, or whatever they're going to, we know more in detail what they're proposing.
Yeah, because it could be a win-win-win, but we got to work through the details.
Okay, but this is one of those times where tabling it just kind of kicks the can down the road versus why kick the can down the road when you can make a little progress, but you don't lock yourself into a position. So if we go forward with what the Water Authority has suggested, which was the deed it to the county, but we hold it in escrow. We don't accept it, we don't record it. If we want to undo it and give it back to the Water Authority, we can do that. That would at least allow the process to continue, and it doesn't lock us into a position. And it certainly doesn't send the message that, I mean, we still have issues we want to make sure we work out with regard to those projects if they were to come back. And again, going back to, the things that were said the day of the hearing, we have zonings on these properties that allow for development to occur and allow for it to occur without this alternate access and the secondary way in and out. So that has to constantly kind of be in everybody's minds, I think, that regardless of what happens here, there's a certain amount of developments could happen no matter what. The idea being that we would go forward, have the deed conveyed, hold it in escrow, see if we can work out those issues to make it that win-win-win that everybody, hopes that it could potentially be.
And oh, go ahead.
Sorry, with that method, are there any costs that we would incur, anyone would incur, versus just tabling it?
I wouldn't think so. Jennifer, you don't see any cost in that for the county, do you? Or Melanie?
I guess the assumption would be that the developer's going to provide the legal descriptions. Otherwise, there might be a small surveying cost.
Yeah, we would provide the legal descriptions, absolutely.
And I was just going to say, I appreciate what you're saying, Commissioner Campion. I can understand that point of view. I still concerned that it implies approval and that it's going to move forward. I mean, I think maybe legally, like you're saying, we could be protected there, but.
Well, you are protected.
Yeah, I'm just saying I can, at some future hearing, it being said, oh, well, we've already granted the easement there, and that we move forward with the approval on that.
They can say it all day, but it's not the case.
I know, yep. I think it should be timed with that, but I can understand that viewpoint too.
I make a motion to accept a conveyance, but in escrow if the Water Authority chooses to deed that 60-foot strip of property to the county.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 3-2.
Thank you.
Moving on to tab 36.
Can you clarify who were the two?
Parks and Shields.